Today I'll be reviewing the biggest and newest SUV within Toyota's lineup, a 2023 Toyota Sequoia. Now Sequoia goes through a complete redesign for this year as a brand new platform shared with the new Tundra, the new Land Cruiser, also gets a brand new powertrain, has new looks on the outside, a vastly improved interior, and a whole lot more. So how good is this brand new Sequoia? Let's find out. It's been 10 years since a redesign. So this is a pretty significant upgrade for the Sequoia. The old bubbly shape is no longer. Now the new Sequoia looks a lot more square, a lot more boxy, more masculine, more aggressive, more like a truck. The great thing about the new exterior look to the Sequoia is the fact that you can literally park anywhere and fit in. So if you're making a trip, let's say to your local lumber yard, you fit right in. If you're at a construction site, a job site, you fit right in. If you happen to be off-road, the Sequoia also looks great. And if you're in the middle of a desert, you betcha the Sequoia also looks great. So I do really like the new exterior look to this brand new Sequoia. I think Toyota really nailed it. Now, besides the new looks, the other big significant change is the new platform, which is shared with the brand new Tundra, with the new Land Cruiser, and with the new Lexus LX 600. So this platform is being used across a variety of trucks and SUVs. It's important to note that in the US, we will not be getting a new Land Cruiser. Now, something that didn't change with this brand new platform is the rear suspension. There's still a live axle setup in the rear. So for people that do want to go off-roading, live axle is better because you get more wheel articulation. So when you're climbing those crazy rocks and dips, live axle actually helps. Unfortunately, on the pavement, I couldn't feel that live axle. I've driven a lot of these big SUVs around, even full-size ones, and trucks, many of which changed to independent rear suspension. I had the Sequoia for a couple days now, and as for how it feels on the road, it does feel a bit rattly. There's a lot of shuddering. I was expecting a very plush and smooth ride, like some of the other SUVs I've tested recently, for example, a Ford Expedition. And I can tell you for sure the Expedition rode nicer because of that independent rear suspension. This, unless the pavement is just really smooth, you're going to feel it. The other drawback to not having independent rear suspension is space. Unfortunately, you also see that with this new Sequoia. All Sequoias come standard with 3-row seats. That's not a surprise because this is an absolutely huge SUV. But unfortunately, the seats are very, very, very low off the ground, which makes it very difficult for adults to live back there. Adults can fit, like for me, I can fit in the third row. I'm 5'10". I do have a little bit of leg room and just like an inch of headroom, but the bottom cushion is so low to the ground. Now, something else that's affecting that floor is also the battery. This is a hybrid, and I don't think many people know that. So the battery is actually underneath the seat. So that's also affecting some of the space back there. But for emergencies, adults will fit, and kids can fit more comfortably. What about cargo room? Well, you would expect that the Sequoia would have massive amount of cargo room. Unfortunately, that's not the case. If you look behind the third row seats, you can see there's barely any room behind the third row seats. Just a little amount for maybe a few bags of groceries. There's switches to fold down the third row. There's a 120V plug, but there's also a shelf system that's really unique. You may have noticed that the floor is not flat. It's not flat to the bottom of the seat. Well, if you want to make that flat, there's a little shelf that you could raise to make that flat, and then you have a little hidden storage underneath. Now, if you fold down the third row seats, you'll notice that it's also not flat. There's a big gap, maybe like an 8 to 10 inch gap. Again, you could lift up that shelf and make it flat if you wanted to. So this makes it a lot more convenient if you do need to store something large back there. So you can have a nice shelf along with the seat back, right? Generating a whole bunch of room. And underneath, you get more hidden storage. And if you want to go higher, you can. So there's like a 4-tier shelf system that's pretty unique. But the reason why Toyota needed to do it is because the third row seats does not fold flat, and this is kind of their solution for the problem. Does it really solve it? I don't quite know, but you decide. Now the good thing is second row space is enormous. So even though third row could be better, second row, no problem, very comfortable. The seat cushions do look different. The styling looks different, a lot more stylish. The leather actually feels like leather now. I like the blue stitching that comes with this platinum trim. But overall, you get plenty of legroom, plenty of headroom. There is no doubt it's huge in the second row. Same thing up front too. I mean, you're driving a full-size SUV in here. It's basically as big as a full-size truck. So you're not gonna have any problems in the first row or the second row. Unfortunately, third row, just a little bit. Now, the other big change with the Sequoia has to be the new powertrain. And there's only one to choose from. Just like the old Sequoia, you had that tried and true 5.7 liter V8. I love that engine. I love the sound that engine made, but unfortunately it's very thirsty. This new generation comes with iForce Max. What does Max mean? Well, it's no longer a V8, unfortunately. It's a twin turbo V6 paired with a hybrid setup. And it's producing a monstrous 437 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot of power, a lot of torque. Because of the increase in power, towing goes up over 9,000 pounds from the previous 7,000 pounds. It's a huge increase. Not only that, fuel efficiency goes up. I mentioned about that thirsty V8. The previous Sequoia only achieved about 14 miles per gallon combined. With this new one, 20 miles per gallon combined with four-wheel drive. So that's pretty damn good. You get not only more power, but also more fuel efficiency and more towing. What's not to love? Ooh, that's not bad. Not bad at all. Because of all that torque and power, 0 to 60 is under 6 seconds, around 5.6, 5.7. It's pretty good off the line, that's for sure. And what's surprising is there's a good hint of exhaust note. So I don't know if it's simulated or what, but it kind of sounds like the old V8. So if you enjoy that V8 sound, well, Toyota has you covered. Again, I can't tell if it's simulated or not. It actually sounds pretty good. So that's a surprise. Now, this new engine is paired with a brand new 10-speed automatic, same one that you find in the Tundra. And I do think that the new transmission is great. The old 6-speed was good. This is even better, just smoother overall. And you can't tell when this Sequoia is shifting up or down. It's just very good. And it definitely helps with fuel economy. But there's one downside to this brand new engine though. It definitely turns the engine on and off a lot. Now, you can't really tell when the hybrid motor turns on or off, because with a lot of hybrids, you could tell. The way Toyota set up this iForce Max, it's a really ingenious way where the electric motor is kind of like stuck between the engine and the transmission. So when it turns on and off, you can't really tell. But unfortunately, every time that V6 turns on or off, when you're stopped, you feel this shuddering. And a lot of cars have it, but it seems to be more pronounced with this Sequoia for some reason. So every time I come to a stop and I feel a little bit of shuddering, and it just kind of takes away from it. You know, it takes away from this car. And unfortunately, unlike a lot of other cars where you could turn that feature off, the engine auto start stop function, they don't have that. You can't turn that off. That's kind of built into the engine. Now, as for the interior cabin, greatly improved. It's still very truck-like. It looks like a lot like the interior cabin to the brand new Tundra. So you have big vents, you know, big screen, big buttons and knobs still, although not nearly as big as the last generation. So this one that I'm driving in Platinum, which is, you would figure with the name of Platinum, it'll be the top trim. It's not, it's actually in the middle. But you do get 2 large screens. You get a fully digital gauge cluster. I really like the graphics of it. It's very clear. You can see all your usual stuff, right? And of course your menu, and you can see if you're sport mode, eco mode, and how much power, all that stuff. I do like it. It's very clear. I like the graphics. Of course, the main attraction is this brand new screen, 14-inch screen, horizontally mounted. I like it. The interface is completely different, just much easier to use, more friendly, and you get wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You have its own Toyota search system. You could actually say, "Hey Toyota," kind of like Alexa, and all the things in here, it's just very easy to navigate. The screen is smooth, bright, very responsive. Fantastic, fantastic. Also with this Platinum, you get a 360 view, so you get to see all around you. Wireless charger. Also, if you opt for it, you can get this giant panoramic sunroof, which wasn't available before. You can now get it. It is very big. Also, if you opt for it, you get power running boards, which is very, very nice. Again, not available before, but now available. These 2 things just make the Sequoia seem like it's more up to date, more modern, because for the longest time you couldn't get these things. Also, what's nice is this digital rear view mirror. So in case you are hauling a lot of people in the second and third row, blocking your view, right? You can just turn that on and you don't have to worry about it. Now, one thing, unfortunately, that didn't get improved with the Sequoia is the steering. The steering still feels very loose. Now, the steering wheel did improve. I like the new steering wheel. The steering wheel actually looks pretty good, modern, nice buttons. Still looks like a truck steering wheel, but the steering itself still very, very sloppy. I could move the steering wheel like 1 inch to either side, and I don't feel any input with this Sequoia. So unfortunately, precision is still not there. Now, as for pricing, there are 5 trim levels to this brand new Sequoia. The base is the SR5, and after destination charge is right under $60,000. Then you have the Limited, jumps up about $6,000 to $66,000. This Platinum is around $73,000. Then you have the Capstone around $77,000, and finally the TRD Pro coming in around $78,000. Now, keep in mind, if you want 4-wheel drive, that's optional. And there are some features I mentioned about the running boards, the panoramic sunroof, the heads-up display. These are also optional. So this one that I'm driving is pretty much fully loaded, and it comes in around $77,000 for the Platinum. So the new Sequoia is not very cheap. So here are my final thoughts about this brand new Sequoia. I do think this is a huge upgrade over the last Sequoia. You could actually get modern features. You also have really sharp looks now. I do love the exterior look, and the interior is not too bad either. It still has that truck vibe, but modernized. And I do like the increased capability, of course. With the new engine, you could tow more. It's a little bit faster, more fuel efficient. These are all great things. I do like all these things. Unfortunately, though, I think the Sequoia is still missing on a lot of marks. For example, the live axle setup makes the suspension not as good as some of the competition. That shuddering, you could definitely feel it anytime you go over a bump. Same thing with this new powertrain. You get a lot of like shuddering when you come to a stop, when the engine turns off. Unfortunately, that's still there. So these two things are very annoying. Also, even though this is such a big SUV, you know, the third row seating, not the greatest, and the cargo room behind the third row seating really lacking in space compared to some of the competition. So even though the Sequoia has been greatly upgraded from the last generation compared to its peers like the new Tahoe or the new Expedition, it still trails in many ways. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you tune in for my future videos. Take care. Bye-bye.